like to start with one question. Just stand up. Okay,
Yeah, of course. Why not?
Why are you here? It's a very important question. I'd like to have some testimony. Madame, why are you here? Yes.
We're a kind of company who would like to open, and so it's a place to be and to discuss.
Yes.
So we're here.
Okay. And what about you over there? Why are you here?
Me?
Yes.
It's the same.
It's the same.
Yeah. Because of the interest in subjects and hearing new things.
I think you are all here because there's a mix of two things. First, of course, the economical efficiency, the business efficiency of our jobs, our companies, but of course also the, I would say, the humanist approach. That is to say, our job is also a mission to house people that have difficulties to get one. It's the summit of the Maslow pyramid, I would say, housing. It's a humanist approach. It's very important. So you're here because you just want to find the good path, the good innovation way to mix social efficiency with economical efficiency. So, do you share that? Yeah. Yes? So I'm here, so I'm managing partner in city creation because it's been quite 40 years that our company believe one thing, that is to say that the walls are the skins of people, and if they feel okay in their wall, they will feel okay in their life. And it will have a good impact on qualitative and quantitative results toward your different KPIs. And our mission, our company, is to fight against standardization and uniformication of buildings. So walls are the skin of the residents. It is quite important for us because our job, we are world leaders today in urban design through the creation and the production of monumental pictorial approach. We do embellishment of global buildings, we do frescoes, we do different kind of pictorial animation in the cities. We are 15 people, we are a cooperative, so we were born in 1978, and we start close to 40 years ago with social housing. We are working also for industries or city center, but we start with social housing because walls are the skin of the residents. And we work a lot in the state of thermal rehabilitation, this time of refurbishment, where you get, I would say, an old classical building, and you need to make some works on it, and you need to work with people to do a design approach. That is to say, that the people that are living in that uniform and standard building will change the way they live that building because they were integrated into aesthetic and consultation approach. But we don't do design for the sake of design, we don't do art for the sake of art, we are result driven. That is to say, we are very close to your KPIs, that is to say your tenants managing strategy, your rotation and vacancy rate, how to be good, of course, about the social policy, and how to communicate, to make my brand different from the others. So that's what we do every day with people, with company like you, in order to be very good in the results. With one specification, it's very important. It's that for us, such projects are okay with the integration of all stakeholders. That is to say, of course, elected people, politicians of the area, companies, but also, and first of all, I would say the tenants. We do not only manage the conception and creation of that works, but also all the social engineering approach. So I would like to present you 4 different case studies in order to be very close to your everyday issue. First, it will be how to manage a long-term rehabilitation. How to do that people will stay motivated, will believe in that rehabilitation when you have 10 to 15 years of works. Second is about vacation and rotation rate, how to decrease it and how to avoid to lose sometimes hundreds of thousands of euros every year because you cannot success in make your building full. Three, it will be how to develop district attractivity. Not only your buildings, but to reconnect your residents to the city downtown, that is to say, to the life of a collective way to live in a city. And fourth, it will be a case about communication. How do I do something amazing collectively for my case? So the first case is the Tony Garnier Urban Museum. So here is the context. In 1985, the biggest social housing public company in Lyon decided to do a great thermal rehabilitation. It will be about 15 to 20 years, and you can see the state of the building were very poor. And we needed to do that with a collective history because we felt that in that district at that time people were no longer talking with each other. The shops were closed one after one and there was no more history, whereas there was something amazing. The amazing thing is that people lived in one of the first housing residence in Europe that were built in 1920 by this famous French architect and urbanist named Tony Gagne. So some of the residents, of the tenants, decided to call us and to say, okay, we go into that rehabilitation, but we don't want something standardized. We want to put into light the life of Tony Garnier and his vision towards the fact to live all together. So how to change the image, of course, of that huge residence, how to manage that long-term approach, and how to reconnect also to the city of Lyon, because we are in Lyon, this approach. We always start with a blank page. We are creative designer, nothing existed. So we make lots of different meetings with peoples, with associations. It's a big place, there's 5,000 people living over there still right now. And we start with that concept of Tony Garnier, then we evolve with the architect about the creation of the rehabilitation, then we met all the association of that place in order to define the emotional, I would say, artistic and plastic strategy to come. So we have spent 15 years working on, for this example, just blind faces of that. I don't know, there's, I would say 24 also buildings total in these places. Starting with, you know, in the upper left side, a description of the life of Lyon people in the early 20th century between poverty and progress. And then we took the sketches of Tony Garnier about the ideal city he had from the Grand Prix de Rome. You know, it's a famous Italian at that time award. And then we painted the realization of Tony Garnier of Lyon. Maybe if you know Lyon, there's some very famous places, and the Stade de Gerland for soccer lovers is from Tony Garnier. And we finish, because I told you après, by the sixth vision of what is the utopist approach of international well-known artists. The tenants, during 15 years, had the time to, I would say, to be fed by that project, to become the first ambassador of that project. We don't care about it. What we care about is the result of that. I would start with one result, which is personally for city creation very important, because that program was awarded by the UNESCO in the mid-90s for its amazingly collaborative and original approach to link people living here with the specificity of the building, with the integration and reconnection to a city downtown. So you can see the mayor and all. There were, of course, in our project, lots of parties, lots of time where people just gather, not only physically speaking, right now with new project, but also digitally speaking. And of course, the results were very good because 0% vacancy, but we are in downtown, but the rotation just cut down. We just, in 10 years, came from 8 shops to 50 shops, 30 shops, sorry. So it really gave life to that territory. We reconnect that territory to city downtown. And one other KPI, very important for me, is that by the desire of the tenants, we created an association for the museum that sell every day 4,000 tickets. It's free, you can go freely. We don't count freely people, but people that come, from architect to very everyday people, to discover with people living in that places, just like a museum, urban museum, that place. So it's very moving when you succeed in changing the perception, the way that people live their territory. So there's very different KPIs here, and right now, I was in a meeting just 1 week ago. It had become part of the identity of the territory, and we will do a new thermal rehabilitation, and we will make it evolve in the next 15 years. So a new story is coming. Do not hesitate to ask questions, if it's relevant according to your situation. Second issues, we are in Berlin with Stadtland, which is a cooperative housing company. So here we are. You've got that 60s, 70s building with, I would say, the horror movie syndrome. Just people just don't want to come. Okay, it's a black and white picture. People don't want to come, they just avoid the place. And it is a senior place dedicated to seniors that are just able to live, but for senior. So can you imagine, you have a place with senior, 20% vacancy. People just don't want to go, even for family, to come to see that people, it's difficult. But you can't demolish it because it's too expensive. So what do? Just to let you see, it's quite big, it's just like a castle. You don't see the entrance, you don't see the verticality or horizontal approach. You are totally missed on that territory. So, once again, we always work with people, but it's quite different, for example, in Germany, because that's a cooperative approach with Stadtland. There's a head of tenants, and things are getting easier and quicker, I would say. That all the interesting approach to work worldwide, because we work in all the countries. So we work with people, of course, from Stadtland, from the municipality, from the tenants, and we work with young people of that territory in order to integrate them into the project. So what is the plastic approach? So the plastic approach, so you see before, after, one thing, please don't say I like, I don't like. We are in Germany, we work in Austria, we work in China. The aesthetic approach is always different, is always unique. But what's important for us? It's about design, it's that the people living here, people coming here, like it. So, first of all, on the lower side, we worked according to the German Nouvelle Art, with the Berlin Nouvelle Art from the early 20th centuries, to have that approach of to cut the verticality of the basement, to cut also the 5 stories approach, and towards the entrance also. It was very important. You know that sometimes with your residents, it's not always clear to find the different entrance, exit, the different way to circulate. And the upper approach is the description of the name of that place. It is called La Volière. In German, La Volière. It's a French name, but in German it's also La Volière. That's the bird cage, you know, with very precious, beautiful cage. And in fact, just 100 meters from there, German Berlin people can say that, there's a garden with lots of birds coming every year from north or to south to have a stop during several weeks. So we work on the description of that real birds, painting of that real birds, and I will tell you after, it's very important about the attractivity of that place. So here is a composition, the different type, different, I would say, artistic approach on that building. So you see, you still have the... in fact, that building was built in the 60s by a famous Berlin architect. So you can like or not. But we try to keep that architecture, but to integrate it in a more modern, attractive approach. So of course, I tell you because I know it's very important into innovation too. There were lots of media around that project. There were lots of parties with the people, and there was that strange man, which is I mean, the symbol of Stadtland. It's quite special. And of course, the project was a great success because just 1 year after, there's 0% vacancy. So can you imagine 20% vacancy on that kind of residence? It was a loss of 300,000 euros a year. I would say it's very important. We had young people from the district involved with our team on small things, but in our team to come to create and to paint. And one again, what is great is that you have schools coming on that place dedicated to senior people just to learn with their teachers the different birds. So it is becoming a new totem in the district. And this project was awarded by the German Minister of City in 2010 for its...
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
They didn't do any renovation inside?
Inside?
Yeah?
The dwellings?
They did?
If we work inside the building?
Yeah, they didn't renovate inside.
No, we didn't work inside, but we worked with the architect of the rehabilitation to have some kind of harmony between outside and inside. But the inside, because it's a senior place, was refurbished, I think 10 years before. It was really the outside. So terrible.
So you just work over the walls?
Yes,
the place around
exactly. We work of the old walls because
the
envelope, your flesh,
Okay.
it is your flesh. It's important. The way you dress, it's important. For your tenants, it's very important.
May I ask you a question?
Yeah.
The architect you mentioned, it's a very famous German architect, I
Yeah.
suppose.
I don't remember it.
Okay, but is he cooperating with you to do this?
He was dead.
Ah,
But we had some letters from German people who are architect or urbanist elite who say it's not good to do that. You should let it in grey. That's great. We like it. But I think in every country of the world, in Western countries especially, we have that. First of all in France, Italy, but I suppose every country. And of course, we had a national media coverage. And it's still 0% vacancy. Come back to France, come back to Lyon. So we have Do you have that kind of residence in your, you know, yes? All of, yes. So you know this kind of 70s, 60s residence with some kind, just like a abandoned place. You go in that place, it's sleeping. Nothing happened. People do no longer have parties together. They do not know each other's, and so this French housing company came to us to say, it's been, I think, 40 years we haven't done anything on that residence. And Lyon has just been classified by the UNESCO. You know, Lyon downtown, if you know, it's very beautiful because it's a Renaissance architectural approach. These people just feel abandoned. We will start a technical rehabilitation, but we know, I mean, really, technical is, it's not about 50% of a success of a project. You need to work with people to create a collective story. So they ask us, what can you do to embellish that place, and especially to reconnect it to the city downtown. The place, the UNESCO place, the whole Lyon, was very close. In 2 minutes, so they said, there's all that people coming to Lyon, all that people who are just 200 meters from here and they don't come. We are going to lose a school class. There's a school very close. We don't have bus link. How can you do something unique so that people want to come and we are proud of it? So we work just like usually with the tenants, with lots of people. In the French way of meeting, there's always lots of people. First there's 5, and when they like it, it's 50, it's 100. But our project is very easy to sell. So the mayor was here, the CEO was here, and City Creation was doing the animation of the meeting, and that people say, yes, we want to be the old Lyon. We want to be the old Lyon. That's all. So you will see what we've done. So Eric went to the Sahara from Villagia, so you can ask him. It has been done 13 years ago. So what we've done is that we decided to put the trompe-l'œil architecture of the old Lyon on the building. So it's a monumental fresco, and of course dealing with issues about the entrance, and we work with the architect for all the different aménagement, all the different way to furbishment. And you have 3 big buildings with some kind of square inside, which are all worked with that aesthetic approach. And it was fun because we wanted to do the first 2 buildings with, Renaissance style trompe-l'œil, but the 3rd building we'd like to work about Gaudi or Underwasser, and the tenants say, no, we are in Lyon, we are not in Vienna, we are not in Barcelona, we want the same. So we did that. It used to be the biggest inhabited fresco in the world during 10 years ago. We did bigger in Berlin, just that. And also we have worked the night approach, because our main design approach is pictorial monumental approach, but we work with landscaper, we work with light scenarist in order to make it living also during the night. Of course, there were lots of parties, you can imagine, with hundreds of people. They are very proud, of course, and we will talk about proudness after, because it's fun. So, no more rotation. But I'm sure you will understand that people living over there right now are really, really, how to say, they want quality for everything. Because they are proud, because it's clean. It's very clean. All the dishes, places, they make a small green park inside Nickel. When you know that 15 years before there were some cars fire and drugs, also there's still some drugs, of course, but it's perfect. This residence right now is part of a touristic approach of the city. It's number 3, so it's quite nice. And we succeed in making the school class to stay, and one bus line is stopping just in front of the residence. So it's totally changed the way that people live their building. When you meet some people living over there, you don't say, I live in the basement A, floor 3. He can say, I'm in the small yellow house at the floor number 2. So they really change the way they live their residence. And finally, just to finish, it's another cooperative housing company in Berlin, Friedensort. So we are in one of the most crowded and poor places of Berlin. And of course, you've got lots of competition in that places because you've got private companies coming with very inexpensive rate. And the main obsession of housing company over there, especially in Berlin, is to know how can I keep people here, how can I attract people and not let them go into that private concurrence. So it was a competition issue with a communication issue. So what we did is, very close from here, you have a very famous garden with Garden of the Words. So we worked that huge tower in order, of course, to cut the vertical approach. It was very important to work on an integration about that quite green places. Even if I told about the skyline, the building skyline is awful. It's just gray. It's terrible. And on the ground floor, you have paintings about the different gardens of the world, just close to here. So what are the results? Well, one again. So 2 years after 0% vacancy, creation of a dedicated tour. That is to say, there's a tour around the tower with, again, lots of schools that come to, with their teachers, to have a different look at the different gardens, Japanese garden, Korean, Italian garden. Of course, always happy residents and new tenants. It's important, I will stress about new tenants, because you will ask me, okay, it's working with actual tenants, but in the future, how do you work that the fact that the image of a district can evolve? We are focusing on the historic identity of a territory in order to be sure that in 20, 30, 50 years it will still be modern into the message and into what we see. And we had, of course, a national media coverage. This document will be on the internet, so you can go. That it's interesting about communication for your companies. They create their own small website with the description of all the different steps with the tenants, with the district, with city creation, and you can also connect to book a tour that is both organized by the housing company and the municipality. So you know, when we were thinking about the evolution of the services of housing company, here is a good example. Just to explain our methodology, it's very important. We always start with diagnostic, urban diagnostic. We come with you on your residence to see what are the issue about the stake about urbanist integration, what are the stake about technical feasibility. We work on all kind of support, and finally, what is the best way to let such project flourishing with elective people from the district. It's very important. So we are consultant about that because we have worked all around the world for the past 40 years, so we know how to create such project. Then we are in a step of co-creation with tenants, one again, it's different. The scale is large. We can have just 2 or 3 reunions with tenants, and on other districts, because there's a lot of common history, because there's lots of difficulties, socially speaking, going up to 10, I would say 10 meetings. With all the artistic execution, we present to, first of all, our client. Is it okay? We work with the architect, if there's one architect, and then we present to the people, usually into a public meeting. So it's a great time. There's a lot of mediatization during that time, lots of echo on the digital platform, of course, and lots of discussion. But it's 100% success. And then, of course, production. We are not submitted to, I do my sailorman, I'm sorry. We are not submitted to a competition according to the European article. We have lots of guarantees, of course, I let you see that, in order to show that the work we do, major guarantees the project, awards and honors, and of course, as a French people, and especially today, I'd like to say that we have never been in such time for Western, for the whole world, to say that it's not about technique. Technique is important, but it's about global vision. It's about to live all together. And we are doing that for the past 40 years, but today, more than ever, there is no successful rehabilitation, even construction, without culture. It's very important. This is it.